my jacket off, but we haven't done this yet. So Spurs, Pistons last night, top of the East, second in the West, 9 straight for the old Spursy Spurs. 114-103, your final. Wemby 21, 17 rebounds, 6 blocks. Vassell finishes with 28. Castle had 16. It's a little bit of a weird night for Cade Cunningham. We'll say that. 16 points, 10 assists. But longest win streak of the season, obvi. They reached, remember we talked about reaching 40 before your 20th loss, the 40 wins?
They did it.
They've officially done that.
They qualify?
So they are now probably going to win.
Title contenders.
They are now officially contenders, according to Phil Jackson, by the way. Okay, now it's starting to happen a little bit more now. People talking while they're calling the game saying, you know, screw the future. They could do it this year. Is anybody on that boat yet?
I think after watching that game last night and seeing the intensity and seeing how they kind of matched the physicality of the Pistons, and early on in the chat, we were talking, you know, they tried to be extremely physical. That's going to be the scouting report against Wemby moving forward.
Yeah, y'all were real negative.
For the rest of his career, right? The Pistons did that. And it took some time for him to adjust, took some time for them to get going, but then, boom, Vassell gets hot, Champagnie gets hot. Like, they have so many different ways to hurt you outside of Victor Wembanyama. Their young guard core is insane with Castle and Fox and Harper. Like, they really have it all. They're one of the deeper teams in the NBA, but they're also sprinkled with some vets with experience. Guys like Harrison Barnes, guys like De'Aaron Fox. Like Cornette. They have a little bit of everything. So watching that game last night, first of all, it felt like the finals. Like, it felt like awesome. A really, really intense matchup that we could hope to see down the stretch in the finals. But yeah, after watching that last night, I kind of got the feeling like, okay, this team's not just, they're here. Like, they've arrived, and they are a real contender as early as this year, Beads. So wear that jacket.
I'm going to wear it proudly.
You know, Chandler hit it on the head. The only thing that I disagree with Chandler with, I don't think they matched the physicality. Okay. I think they adjusted and they played their game, and they started shooting threes, and they had a lot of success in the three-point line. So they didn't necessarily get wrapped up in a lot of the physicality that Detroit had success with in the first and second quarter. They came out after halftime, and you could tell they adjusted their game plan to the style of play that the San Antonio Spurs are playing, opposed to doing or getting sucked into a game that the Detroit Pistons like to play, which is a more physical game, which is a more grind-out game. Instead, they start running, playing faster. You know, the lead that they got out too early was because of the pace that they played with, right? And I think once, you know, we start pushing Wemby around a little bit, start grabbing them, they kind of got into a tug of war. After halftime, I feel like they got back to their roots of how they played, and those were the adjustments they made. And you got to give Mitch credit for that, being a great young coach and understanding, hey, listen, guys, we can either get caught up in playing the way that Detroit wants us to play, or we can stick to our guns and play the style of play that we have. So even though this is a young team, they made a lot of veteran moves last night that gave me confidence that they can make a deep playoff run.
What do you think happens in halftime? Because you on the thread last night were A, making me very angry, but B...
I was being honest with you.
Yeah.
Being honest.
You're talking about Wemby and being a bit soft, and when
No, hold on. I didn't say that.
You said he wasn't ready for the physicality.
Right under the bus.
That's soft. That's the word.
Let me pull it out.
You know what? Yes, please pull up the thread. I want to quote.
Hey, listen, don't make my life hard today.
You're not ready. He said he's not ready for the philicality yet.
Yeah, and
He said that in a private text thread.
Are we not supposed to
What is going
on? Okay, I take it back. Redact it.
No, but again, I think there was a moment in that game where all of those guys adjusted to it, and they even start pushing back. And you can tell Detroit's game plan was to go out there and deliberately be that way towards Wemby to see how he would react to it. And it took him a while to adjust and get back to the game that he played, and he still wasn't efficient. And so I don't want to make it a thing where it seems as if, you know, he wasn't ready for the physicality or he's soft for any of those things, but you just want to see guys adjust to it, and I thought they did that in the second half.
Yeah, and I will say, like, we all know the Pistons are tough, right?
God,
we know that they're going to grind, they're defensive, they're going to
push you down.
Exactly. We don't think about that necessarily with the Spurs. So the fact that they were pushed and punched in the mouth early, and they did fight back, and they did play all 48 minutes and ended up winning this game pretty easily by the end of the game, was just a big, I think, step in the right direction for them. We know how talented they are. We know how good they can be offensively. We know how much success they had without Wemby. But now when they're whole, they're complete, and they're healthy, and they can still go, and they can beat the bully, that's a huge sign moving forward for this young team.
By the way, 5-1 against OKC and Detroit this season so far. You know, if you want to keep track of that or anything. The internet, which we love, is saying that the Spurs did the elusive triple platinum move, which was basically drafting Wemby, Castle, and Harper in consecutive drafts. Look, no offense to anyone else, but can we please give them a little bit of props? That's an impressive 3-year.
They didn't miss.
They didn't miss.
Not at all.
Perfect.
How?
Not at all.
How?
I mean, listen, they got really blessed with great picks. First of all, they got the first pick with like
we do
the
love
second
that.
pick, like that.
Big fan.
Things worked in their favor to get in that position, right? But when you look across the league, and you look, obviously, OKC, SGA doesn't really count as a young foundation, I guess, anymore, but Chet and Jalen Williams, Houston's got some really young, good pieces. You can't look past the San Antonio Spurs. As far as those 3 guys and the youth and the future that they have, they're all going to make so much money. It's going to be interesting how they're going to work that out, because they're going to pay all of these dudes, and Vassell is going to make a lot of money. Fox is making a lot of money. Like, these guys, like, they just cut Sohan, who I thought was like a solid player.
I was going to say, of all the guys that are like the quote-unquote pushbacks.
You saw the writing on the wall. Ain't no minutes here for
they
them no
were
more.
just not.
like,
In a game like last night, I feel like
minutes.
Sohan would have been valuable.
Like, that
just
guy is valuable, and they're just so deep and so good, they had to get rid of him. Like, that's how good of a situation that they're in. So, yes, as far, obviously there's some great young talent all across the league, but those 3 guys,
That ain't bad.
And think about how deep this team is. We're
defend.
talking about these 3 guys and being, consecutive draft picks. But Vassell was the best player on the floor last night for the San Antonio Spurs. And then every time that they needed a bucket or they needed something to happen, De'Aaron Fox was the guy that was able to deliver that for them. That's a team that's poised to make a move and go deep into these playoffs and really put some fear in some guys. Like you just said it, Beto, they're 5-1 against other teams that we're saying title contenders. It's time that we start discussing them in the same way.
you know,
I
it's,
also want to send some love to Keldon Johnson, because
Yeah,
that's
for
also
sure.
a very big part of what's been going on.
and you know what, like, when you're young in the league, you care about scoring, right? Like when your friends ask you the game, like, the first question is, how many points did you have? The fact that OKC is as young as they are, and they're number 1 in defense, and San Antonio is number 3 in defense, in a league that doesn't really care about that anymore, speaks volumes of these cultures and these identities and the coaching staff of how they've instilled. Who cares? The points, the scoring, that's going to happen naturally. But the fact that they're all bought in on the defensive end and the toughness side, so young in their career, is really, really impressive to me.
I'm actually glad you're bringing it up. I'm looking up the age so I make sure I get it right. Yep, 21. I want to make sure I got that right. Because at
Castle.
21 years old, Steph Castle, and it's not just last night. I mean, he gave Cade Cunningham headaches, right? But he sort of looks like, well, you wouldn't know because his facial expression never changes, but it feels like he relishes.
Never changes.
I
I watched him play in high school. He played against my high school in Atlanta, and I pulled up to watch him.
Love him.
And it was the same temperament. He didn't change his facial expressions or anything. And he actually didn't have his greatest game, but I left and I told my guys, I said, yeah, that's a pro right there. I can tell by his body language. I can tell by he carries himself, the way that he attacks the basket, everything. So to be able to see this translate to an NBA level and be elite at it at such a young age, man, kudos to Steph Castle.
Yeah, he never gets too high. He doesn't get too low. Like he's like Kawhi Leonard. He's a robot.
Tim
Like, he
Duncan.
doesn't get on the
Very
refs.
Spurs.
Like,
And he's not a pushover.
no,
Not
he
a
is
pushover
tough.
at all.
And again, the fact that he has found this role in this niche, playing defense and being tough at such a young age, it doesn't happen. And the fact that he can play point guard, he can go and score 20 points, 25 points on any given night. And even if he doesn't, he's still so valuable just because how hard he plays on the defensive end is truly unbelievable. Like, you could put this guy on any team and he makes him better.
Which
He's
is
not like a system guy.
remarkable to me. Is there a team out there with a better perimeter and rim protector, like a duo, that you can name? I get that the defenses are ranked, but
Nobody else has Wemby.
Well, Wemby is 70% of it. I don't care how you cut it.
Nobody else has Wemby. I mean, maybe.
isn't that a
by the
crazy
way,
thing? It's just like, no, nobody has
Chet and
Wemby.
Jalen Williams are pretty good. Like they're
Okay.
both, you know,
But not.
defensive-minded. But I mean, no. This
I
guy's-
watched Wemby block a 3 after contesting in the lane.
I saw a guy turn down a 3 when Wemby was in the paint.
No, and they talked about it last night. Like, he affects everything and everybody.
Even the shots he doesn't block or even alter,
part of it.
the offensive player is thinking about
It's like
it.
you're running into an
Jalen
obstacle.
Durant almost missed the dunk because he thought he was in the area.
That's what I mean. Like, you just, even if he's not there, you're still thinking about him.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cade, it was a rough night for Cade, 5 of 26, and we just had Stan Van Gundy on, still thinks of him as the top dog in the MVP talks. But for those who are perhaps not on the Cunningham train yet, would a game like last night change anything for you?
No, not for me. No. And I'm a big component of how guys start the game, right? And his first shot attempt was a runner from the free throw line, and I was like, man, I feel like he can get a better look than that, because you want to see you want to gain your confidence early in the game. You want to get a rhythm jump shot, or you want to get to the rim or get a three-pointer, something that feels comfortable to you. I don't see him shooting 4 or 5 of these free throw runners in a game. So if that's your first attempt, I was like, man, this might be a rough night. And unfortunately, it ended up being that. But this doesn't change anything for me as how we look at Cade Cunningham. This is a random Monday night in the NBA. Sure, it was a marquee matchup, but this changes anything. He'll look at film, he'll make his adjustments, he'll go out and bust somebody else's ass next
Well,
night.
they got OKC tomorrow, so that's a fun turnaround.
Wow, it's a tough stretch. It's just, like Coach just hit it on the head. Like, this team is who they are and what they are this season because of Cade Cunningham. So one game's not going to alter my opinion on him just because they lost to another really, really good team. One of the better teams in the NBA. So
Amen.
This, as much as the Pistons wanted to be physical and make that a point early in the game, the San Antonio Spurs did the same thing with top blocking Cade Cunningham, being physical with him, denying him, making it physical for him, and making it hard for him, because that's what teams are going to do to them in the playoffs. And that was what Stan was alluding to, that in the half court, when it slows down in the playoffs, how are they going to get production when he's such the primary ball handler? That is my only concern with the Pistons.
Isn't this fun, though? The race for Stace is like legit.
It's on. The race.
Like, it's happening. I'm a little bit still in shock. Robert Horry, his one critique, basically, and this is why he said Wemby is not in his top 5 for MVP, is because he's too inconsistent. And then, he's no LeBron, he's no Kobe. Well, of course he's not. But do you think that?
Yeah.
He's too inconsistent?
He has some inconsistencies, but I think he's so great that we forget he's still a young player as well.
Baby.
He's going to have some inconsistencies, and he's making adjustments, and he's learning on the fly just as much as anybody else. Like, listen, teams are trying to figure out different ways to guard him, so he's seeing different looks that he probably hadn't seen before. Last night was the first time that I see a team go out and be really aggressive. We had this conversation about Phoenix earlier in the year. They did some unique things to try to change the way that Wemby can play. So there are some inconsistencies there. I don't think that's the reason why he's not a top 5 MVP candidate. I just genuinely think there's 5 other guys playing better basketball than him in an individual conversation for now. For now. But other than that, listen, that's inconsistency comes with being a young player. And when you have such an expectation level that a Wemby has, and when teams are game planning specifically to get you off of your rocker, there's going to be an adjustment period. So I don't see any problem with what Robert Horry said. I think there's some truth to that, but it's also not a problem as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's a knock, right? Like SGA, Jokic, Jaylen Brown, Cade, like Anthony Edwards. Those are all guys that have also had inconsistent. When they were 22 years old, they went through rough patches. They went through inconsistent, runs.
22.
But the guy's 22 years old, and again, I don't think you look at his stats aren't going to be as gaudy as these other guys, maybe offensively, but his impact of winning and on the defensive end kind of outweighs an extra 4 or 5 or 6 points a game like these other guys might have on
it. It just doesn't show up anywhere.
Yeah, like I'd rather his stat line and his presence on the defensive end than 32 a game from someone else.
Yeah, I know. That's why the MVP vote's interesting to me.
And again, he's 22 years old. He's going to have some inconsistencies.
They're babies. Goodness
It's crazy.
Gracious. We are going to take a very quick break. The jacket will stay on. I've made an executive decision on that, and we'll be right back. Why take this?
Run it back, yeah. Run it over, run it back, yeah.